Hello! What's up, guys? Hi, Alec and Mary. Oh, wow, there was a lot of chat before I went on, huh? Asking the big questions tonight, you guys. Hi! Yes, great stream, everyone. Hey, what's up? Hi, Fixie. Hi, Harley. Hi, Hans. How we doing, guys? Oh, did it shut off for some people? You know what? It's always something. I just gotta power through. That's what I've realized. There's only like one way to stream with this jank-ass program, and it's the way it is. Hi! I'm inside now because it is 105 outside. And I didn't want to die. What's up? Sorry that I didn't stream on Tuesday, guys. I actually think I need to update my stream schedule. I'm just like, there's too much going on. Keep the party going. I thought like summer would be basically sweater weather. Hi, Much. Yeah, LA be like that, MX. It's really hot here. You guys, I'm really considering moving. Like, seriously considering. See me in North Carolina? No, I don't know what's going on. It says my connection's fine. Sorry, guys. No. I honestly feel like this happens every single stream. Every single stream, it's like, it drops and then it comes back. Sorry. Maybe I should just start streaming it and then just leave it 5 minutes, let it drop out, let it have a tantrum, then come back. Right? It does happen every stream. Maybe there's something wrong with my setup, but I have like a professional person look at it. Everything should be right. I thought I was maybe just an idiot, but no. It's actually just all of this. Austin, Texas. Oh yeah, I don't know how the internet is in North Carolina. Maybe it'll be worse. Maybe I'll be sending 2 frames a second out there. Yeah, so I'm thinking about moving to North Carolina. I'm taking a trip there in October, mostly for the fall stuff, because here we just don't get seasons, so I'll pretend. And we're gonna feel it out. But I think there's a good chance that I'll move there in the next 6 months or so. Because I am so over LA, you guys. This place just really sucks. And one of my favorite places to visit when I was on tour was North Carolina. Asheville, possibly. But North Carolina's politics are obviously like not 100% my vibe, but I think Asheville could be chill. And I have some friends that moved there and it seems really artsy. Can get down with that. Hi, Oyster Size. Curtis. Yeah, sorry guys. So, anyways, that's my life. Moving to North Carolina possibly in the future, and then also I'm applying to grad school. So hopefully I can do both at once. Yeah, that content house was the final straw. That was the end of my LA streak. I was like, it ends here. Right? Come on, man. I think Asheville would be wonderful. And there's good hiking. There's really biodiverse plant life there, which is a big perk for me. It's pretty good for gardening, which I love to do. Much less expensive. Pretty good weather. Checks all the boxes. Yeah, this is the line. Not the literal years of dealing with content people out here. I just got trapped in LA. I never meant to stay here that long. Thanks, Kamome. Yeah, I pretty much settled. I'm gonna do sex therapy, guys. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna be a sex therapist. Hopefully I don't ruin people's lives. Hi, Illustrator. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, you picked an interesting topic to be your first. I know today's topic is a bit of a controversy. I actually think it's a really interesting topic because I feel like there are very strong arguments on both sides of this and a lot of things to consider. I'm drinking cider, pretending like fall is here, and I'm not melting in 105 degrees. Thank you guys, you're so sweet. Yeah, I'll obviously keep you guys posted on the journey. Hopefully I get in somewhere and they don't think I'm a horrible person. I always get nervous because there's so much just shit written about me online, and I'm sure these places just, you know, do a Google search, and you never know what people are finding, what kind of judgments they're making about you, but the right program will see me for who I am. Yes, it's orange because it actually has orange in it. It's like a blood orange one. Genteno! Wait, 2 months? Hey! Thanks, Genteno! I can't believe it's been 2 months already. It's actually been like 3 or 4 months, I think, that I've been streaming. I like cider a lot. I'm in this really geeky cider group that shares their favorite ciders from all over the country. This one's from Colorado. The very simple opinion that people have always been too sensitive. Well, I guess that wraps it up. It's funny, I was reading your guys' comments before I started the broadcast. Thanks for the bits, Felix. And it seemed like pretty much everyone just agreed, yes, it's too sensitive. Now, is there anybody out there who feels like the world we live in is not sensitive enough? Like 1 person? 2 people? Actually, I'm gonna start a poll. Felix, thank you. I'm gonna start a poll, all right? Give you guys a chance to weigh in. I'm gonna start it on Twitch and on YouTube because YouTube lets you do that now. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Too sensitive. For YouTube, I'm gonna do yes, no, and it's complicated. Kind of like a relationship status on Facebook. All right, guys, go ahead and weigh in whether you're on YouTube and Twitch. And by the way, yes, I am multi-streaming, so I can see all of your comments regardless of where you're watching from. Sensitive to what? Emery, I think that's a very important question. What are we talking about here? I think when this conversation happens, and by the way, this conversation's been going on for a few years now, it's mostly about social issues, maybe people being too quick to feel offended or to be offended. And I think it's complex because on one hand, there are legitimate concerns that people have and people should not have to, you know, put up with being treated like shit. On the other hand, if we create a culture where there's too much focus on powerlessness or the ways in which we've been wronged, it's actually not good for people's mental health. It can harm us in many different ways. We'll get into that in a bit. First, I want to see your guys' poll votes. Okay, so YouTube only shows me maybe the winner. I'm not sure. Go ahead and vote, guys. Aren't sympathetic or considerate enough. Hi, Theory. What's up? Hey, MR. Welcome, guys. We're just getting in. We're just getting started on the discussion. If you want to weigh in on the poll, whether you're on YouTube or on Twitch. YouTube is holding the weirdest messages tonight. I guess I'll allow your weird posts. Resiliency is unrated. Epitome, thank you so much. Thank you, Epitome, for the tier 1 subscription. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for supporting my stream. You guys are awesome. All right, so let me see. I think YouTube only shows me the leaderboard until it's done. Sorry, I haven't used YouTube's poll feature before. I know Twitch's lasts for 10 minutes. So we'll give that a sec to percolate. I love the word percolate. Even though it reminds me of really snobby coffee people. Societies differ so much by country. I live in a really conservative country and people lack empathy extremely. Thank you for making that very important point, Mario. This is very culturally dependent since it is literally about culture. But of course, I'm mostly talking about the United States because I'm American, sadly. Everyone I know is trying to like leave LA, but also try to go to other countries. So they're telling me all about what they like about other countries. There are some things to love about the US, even though it's fucking dumb here sometimes. All right, let's see where the Twitch poll is at. Show me the results. All right. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Okay. Okay. Based on the comments in the chat really early on YouTube, it seemed like everyone feels very strongly that society is too sensitive. But actually, this paints a different picture, at least on Twitch. So most people on Twitch think that we lack empathy, that society is not too sensitive. Second most common is that we are way too sensitive. So not polarized at all. Let's combine them though. Let's see. This is 30, is that 45? Oh, it keeps changing. About 45% think too much. And then a little more than that, 40. Wow, we're almost evenly divided here, you guys. Okay, let's see what YouTube thinks. Probably about the same, but maybe not. All right, YouTube. The options were slightly different, but about half of people, about the same amount actually say yes. 16% say no. 38% say it's complicated. And I like that one. It's complicated because I think it really depends on the situation. This is obviously super contextually based. If we're talking about discussions online, like Twitter or something, then my answer is unequivocally yes, too sensitive. But out in the real world, it's slightly different. So, I'm just gonna read through some of your guys' thoughts here. Why are Twitch viewers soy boys? They're not. They're empathetic, okay? Nobody on Twitch is telling me they're eating a lot of soy. I love how every year, by the way, there's like a new term for guys that aren't masculine enough. Literally every year. It's like, it never ends. Feels like a word juggle trying to talk about this. Yes, this is very complex, and we're not going to reach any hard and fast agreements or answers, but I do think it's interesting to discuss, and I was just curious where you guys are at with it. You are more sensitive on Twitter and social media, yeah. Yeah, that's probably true. There's a phenomenon exclusive to the internet where people ask for sensitivity in the absolute most abrasive and awful way possible. Everyone needs to smoke some weed and chill. My general philosophy in life, Steve. Right, Dragon? Yeah, I'm actually surprised that it's almost split down the middle. So I'd love to know more about what you guys think. I don't want to just rant at you what I think. I'm genuinely curious where you guys are at because sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, obviously my audience is not a monolith. There's lots of different perspectives there, which is one of the things that I love about my online community. But sometimes it's so diverse, it's hard to know who I'm talking to. And sometimes when you want to have a conversation about something, it's like the way that I would frame the conversation depends on who I'm talking to. Does that make sense? Left Twitter in January. It was the best decision I made for my mental and physical health. Not a hyperbole. Yeah, I believe it, Adrian. I believe it. I don't use Twitter either for that reason. I think it's very bad. Hi, Odin. I'm going to say the same thing twice. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with all your posts. The extremes, left and right, are often the most heard, and it makes it feel worse than it is. That's true, especially online. mix of oversensitivity plus presumptuous people projecting intent and malice where it's not objectively present. Yeah, I think about concepts like, I was initially very, very on board with things like content warnings. Obviously, I still put content warnings on my podcast because that's where the most content warnings are needed. The concept of microaggressions. And then I feel like the past few years, things just started to be taken to such an extreme degree. But guys, thank you for the sub, guys. Tier 1, thank you so much. Yeah, so I don't know if we've fully crossed the line into everybody just looking for reasons to be mad, but I do think there's some of that. People are reactive. That's the state people are likely to find themselves in when traumatized, when their idea of reality is put into question. Yeah, that's a good point. Online spaces suffer from too much information. There's a constant stream of news about people being anti-whatever kind of person you are. Yeah. Too much information, and also just information or ideas that are deliberately concocted to offend people. Outrage culture is literally just how can we make the most people offended at once? I'm meeting more and more people in person who generally more anxious and have a hard time problem solving and just shut down mentally. Yeah, that's interesting, Scruffy. I wanted to show you guys a video, but OBS just doesn't let me show you anything. But you guys have probably heard of him, Jonathan Haidt, I think is how you say his last name. He kind of makes an argument, which I don't fully agree with, but that I think is interesting, that the reason why kids today are so fragile is because the colleges specifically are sort of enforcing that tendency and sending that message. And he points to, he says that the flashpoint happened around 2011, 2012, which is when smartphones became mainstream. So actually, I tend to see it as a social media thing, not so much a college thing. A lot of this stuff seems to have originated on social media. Hi, Master of None. What's up? Hi, Lisa. Hi, Social Psych. From a behaviorist sense, social media incentivizes this kind of behavior. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why social media is so horrible. And probably why there's just this infinitely growing amount of division is just social media's nightmare. Half the school treats students like criminals and half treat them like babies. Criminals? Can you elaborate? How white civility culture contributed to this? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't think there's anything wrong with being civil, but I do think there's something wrong with people kind of gaslighting other people when there's some kind of dynamic or, power dynamic at play, and then someone gets gaslighted and told they need to stay civil, or you need to calm down, right? The whole calm down thing. Let me say some really fucked up crazy stuff, and then I'm also gonna be mad at you when you react to it. There's a lot of that too. But I actually don't see that as much in my work. Yeah, exactly, Social Psych. That's why after I took a break from social media, most of my video ideas were about social media. I just was trying to wrap my head around how fucked up social media is. It's really fucked up. I say that as I use social media. Millennials are not weak and entitled. We have bigger financial hurdles and less socioeconomic mobility than any other living generation. The strongest and least entitled, we deserve way more. Yeah, the economic stuff is really fucked. I was reading an article or something that Robert Reich wrote that millennials right now own 5% of the total wealth in the United States, whereas the boomers owned 20%, when they were our age, which is super dramatic drop off. Yeah, Scruffy, I think that too. Screens are playing a big role in this. Saying you're too sensitive among a group of friends is a dick move. It's only a debate on the macro social media scale where a persistent feud are always seeking offense on somebody's behalf, one side or another. Yeah, it's true. It seems like most people here agree that this is more of a social media phenomenon than anything else. It's funny because I follow a lot of people on the more right-wing side of the spectrum, and they're always upset at college students for being too sensitive or too this or too that. But like, I just don't see that as much. I know it exists, and I know there are college students, I experienced it firsthand, who will hand you literally a list of words that they don't want you to use. This is part of why I rethought teaching sex ed, because there came a point where there are so many words that you can't use that it's hard to talk, you know? Thank you, Offcore, for the super chat. Sumo Olympics will give medals to all athletes. It's interesting because some people that I've read blame the participation trophy culture, right? This idea that everybody is as good as everybody else and competition is bad for us. There's some interesting writing about it online. I don't know a whole lot about it, but some people trace this to that. Why not give medals to all the athletes? Well, that wouldn't really incentivize people to do their best, right? If everybody gets a medal and the same sort of accolades for their work, it doesn't really incentivize people to work harder. Try harder, I guess. It's true, Sean. The Christian right are the biggest hypocrites regarding being insensitive. They throw a fit when the clerk at the grocery store says happy holidays in December. Hashtag not all Christians. But yes, this is definitely a two-way street. A lot of the offense that I had to deal with early on, in the beginning when I first started teaching sex ed, it was mostly conservatives who were mad at me, and toward the end it was mostly liberals that were mad at me. But at first, conservatives were just upset that we were even teaching college students how to use a condom properly. Which is okay, well, they're having sex, so you can be mad, but some people are self-satisfying narcissists who are full of themselves. There's surely some of that. I actually saw a comment before I went live. Thank you, Andrew, for the super chat. Shiba Dog. I like how this describes pictures you guys are sending. Shiba Dog writing with a brush, writing number 1 on a piece of paper. I'll picture it in my head. Thanks, Andrew. The comment I saw that I thought was interesting, Kathy W. said, there's a healthy place for empathy. Too much empathy can be an enabler, because narcissists prey on compassionate people. And I found that a little bit relatable, because I feel like most of the people who are always trying to give me a hard time, it felt sort of predatory, like they were just trying to take advantage of the fact that they knew I wouldn't really fight back, you know? It's like, all right, I don't have energy for this. You know how to use a condom years before? Well, not all college students know how to use a condom. Plenty do, it's true, but plenty that I met did not. And the schools would have a health, drug prevention, alcohol, all these different orientations that would happen when freshmen would come in. And so most of my talks were for freshmen during their orientation. And yeah, there was like one of the most epic events early on was in North Dakota, I think. There was a parent group that protested my talk, and they were outside and doing the whole angry parent can't believe the school is teaching about sex thing. And what ended up happening is that they ended up drawing a lot more attention to my talk. And so the talk was totally like wall-to-wall people. Like they told me that we were probably breaking fire codes with how many people were in there. And it's all because they got so mad. It's like, thank you for being so outraged. What's the thing about outrage? It can have a major backlash, you know? Back in the day, to teach us kids how to use a condom, they applied a rubber on a banana. We still do that, Harley. Although I carried like a fake, it was like a dildo from a strap-on. Like it was easy to kind of hold and average sized, mostly, usually. Yeah. Because I didn't want to carry around bananas in my suitcase. It's a recipe for disaster. Narcissists tend to exploit those that empathize most. My last relationship definitely suffered that. Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that there's a lot of interesting conversations happening about narcissism now, too. I don't know a ton about it. Maybe I should interview, like, a narcissism expert or something. Teach me what's up. Lacey profited from outrage. Maybe. Not intentionally, I will say. I think I did, like, my videos got some views a number of views because of outrage. But I wasn't, like, maliciously trying to concoct stuff that would piss people off. In fact, it was more my obliviousness. Now the media ecosystem and even the influencer ecosystem is so sinister. People deliberately do this stuff. Back in my day, we caused outrage by being an idiot. Not by being a business person. A condom on an umbrella? Oh my god, that sounds terrifying. The only sex ed in my schooling, 90s in Serbia, was by the end of my elementary school, just a few hours, nothing in high school. Elementary school, that's so much younger than it usually occurs. I think in elementary school we had, like, the puberty talk, but that was it. We just like divvy people up. I was so fucking terrified at that talk. It's so funny that I ended up teaching sex ed because I really, really had a deep sense of shame and guilt about my body, even at 9 or 8 years old. Narcissist is the latest buzzword people try to use to cancel each other. Oh god, I hate social media, I really do. Yeah, that's probably true, Donald. Yeah. No more speaking for me. At least not for now. The world's a disaster now. We got like mega strains and super mega strains of deadly virus. Half the country doesn't give a shit. I'm happy just sitting here on my computer talking to you guys. You got a whole year of it. Wow, that is pretty incredible. In the late 80s, yeah, there was like a turn, I think, that happened around the 80s. Was when sex ed programs, for a while, I did like a pretty deep dive when I was writing my book about the history of sex ed. There's an essay in there that I really like that I wrote, which I usually don't really like my essays, but I like this one. And it was about how the sex ed or the anti-sex ed movement evolved in the United States and how we kind of got here. which I always like to ask, how did we get here? What happened? What happened? Very important. So, one of the things that I find interesting about this conversation about sensitivity, empathy, being offensive. Thank you, Fleshaga. Oh, thank you so much.
Smiley face.
One of the things that I find interesting is that a lot of people are sounding the alarm. Let's entertain the notion that there are some people, or that we're creating a culture that encourages people to be a little bit too fragile, right? You know, if you look on the right or the center of the libertarian spheres of this argument, you know, they point to things like trigger warnings, microaggressions, safe spaces, as evidence that we are encouraging a fragile culture. And if that's true, let's say that's true, which is a huge assumption, I know. One of the things that I think is interesting is, you know, how can we encourage a culture that helps us to engage in positive types of stress that make us stronger and more resilient, and less, I guess, shaken up when we encounter things that upset us, because that is a physiological response. And the more we kind of have exposure to some positive stressors, things that are not going to traumatize us, but that push us a little bit, right? The easier it is for us to deal with those things, and to become more resilient and to engage maybe more authentically with some of this stuff. Whereas the opposite side, if we are too insulated, it can actually, there's a fair amount of research at this point that shows it makes it harder for us to recover from trauma, right? How to balance those things is something that, at least in the little slice of the internet that I occupy, I think about a lot, because I want to start conversations that kind of push people out of their comfort zone without creating an environment where people feel unsafe, or feel like it's too far over the line, and that makes it harder for them to, you know, it creates stress, which is also not good, negative stress, chronic stress, and makes it harder for people to participate. Like, it can make the conversation less accessible. That's something that I think about a lot, because I do want to talk about some of this stuff that I think some people might find offensive, but not in an offensive way, in a respectful way, in a thoughtful way, kind of like we're having this conversation right now. Do you guys know what I mean? I'm back in the chat. Avoiding negativity is the flaw. Thinking you can be challenged and not disrespected. There's a difference. So that's a really great way of putting it, Carlos. What is the difference? Obviously, it's different for everyone, but what is sort of a socially acceptable line to draw? Avoiding negativity is part of the problem, being easily offended. Yeah, that's probably true. I have a theory of the internet that part of why we've kind of retreated into these echo chambers is because it's very hard to see the perspectives of people who see things very differently than you, especially if those perspectives are kind of, sometimes they are, you know, got some bigotry involved, not even intentional, just sort of like, you know, myths about women or people of color or whatever that are woven into their arguments. And I think that's very stressful, understandably. And so people shut down. They want to silence other people who are saying that. I think that's driven a lot of the pro-censorship stuff that have criticized in the past, censorship as an activist method. And it causes people to sort of insulate themselves, right? To try to avoid at all costs. And the internet really isn't the ideal place to encounter this stuff. Like, having really difficult conversations about race or gender should not happen on Twitter. Just period. No one should be having debates about that shit on Twitter. No one's gonna come out of that better. Do you know what I mean? Or smarter or anything. It's just bad. I will say I think it's so dumb to want universities to be intellectual safe spaces. That's not free inquiry. Yeah, I think some of the upset is that some of this stuff is happening at a university, which are traditionally sort of the institution, right? The institution to ask all the questions. All the questions. So if universities, whether or not you agree this is happening, but if universities do shut down conversations, it is actually happening. I've been canceled from speaking at schools because they thought that I was too conservative or something, which is hilarious. It is happening. And if it's not going to happen at universities, if these discussions are not going to happen at universities, where are they going to happen? Like, is the alternative that we all just duel to the death on Twitter? Because that's kind of what happens if you don't let people have those conversations in a space that is sort of guided in a way that makes sure everyone feels respected and that critical thinking is being cultivated. I know, would you believe, Hardly? Would you believe? I definitely know people who are more liberal about sex stuff than I am, but pretty liberal on that shit, obviously. So when you're calling me conservative, what does that say? What does that say? And even so, the other issue with that, even people who are not liberal need sex ed. Right? This shouldn't be a politicized issue. Like, everybody needs safe places to talk about sexuality, regardless of where they're coming from, what their politics are. We need to make it so that people can have these conversations in a way that speaks their language and makes them feel respected. It's my cider match. It's mine. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to get at, Waku. Pushes conversations online where those conversations are not as productive. I think in a live stream format like this, we can have more nuanced conversations here. But even if I posted a YouTube video about the same exact thing, the comments are not going to have this level of nuance, right? Like, the platforms just aren't built for it. They do not. Nobody sat down and was like, how can we make sure people have meaningful and insightful conversations with each other across perspectives and beliefs? Let me get my tinfoil hat, because it seems like they literally set out to do the opposite. I've been thinking about that, Odin. I've been thinking it'd be fun to, like, have people from the chat be able to hop onto the stream in a call. I've been thinking about it. Don't know how I would do that. I feel very defeated about a lot of technical stuff that I hoped to do with my stream that just nobody can figure it out. I can't figure it out, so I don't know what the fuck. 14280 doesn't allow for it. Yeah, and even not Twitter, even if you have a YouTube video, say, right? It's impossible to treat a YouTube video like a real conversation. This is as close as we can get on social media. And this is part of why I decided to start streaming. Because out of all of the ways to be on social media, I feel like live streaming is the closest we can get to a real conversation, imitating real in-person interactions. 1-800, call in. Yeah, I might need someone to screen calls. There's probably at least one person out there who would be mean. I know you guys wouldn't be mean, but someone would fly by and be like, this is an opportunity. I've seen some people who take calls on Twitch, and sometimes they just get really awful stuff. I hate the internet. Public access, yeah. Yeah, I do want to do call-in. It's something that I want to explore a little more. Got to figure out how to do it. do I need a call screener? I mean, if it's bad, I can just hang up. If I get a drive-by asshole, I can just be like, bye. Right? I think it'll be okay. Yeah, trolls occasionally still get through on C-SPAN. Or like these Zoom calls with these, my favorite is when the sheriffs in these towns where there's been a police brutality case just get totally reamed by the public on Zoom. It's like the only shred of accountability they have. Just like this tiny, tiny little shred on Zoom for 5 minutes. Okay, but answer me this. How is a call screener going to make anything better? They're going to be like, hi, what's your deal? What are you calling about? They could just lie. Yeah, that's true. One voice, but that would be really unfair. Twitch banned me for something someone said on a call. Oh no, Carnith. See, that's the kind of shit that I feel like would be really interesting. So I want you to talk about the furry fandom. You know I love the furry fandom. We love to see it. Still want to go to a furry convention. It's on my bucket list. Right? Yeah, you can just pretend to be nice to the screener. So, if I do calls, just gotta buckle up for the ride. Shit might happen, that's it. What can you do? No, Harley, no fursuits for me. That sounds horrifying. I do not like to be super enrobed by things, period. I didn't know this about myself until I got into adulthood, but I have pretty bad claustrophobia. And even the idea of wearing one of those suits makes me feel panicked. Like, zipped into a suit. No. No. Do you think sex as we know it will exist in 500 years? Yeah? I mean, we could have AI and sex robots and, artificial wombs and all that business. But I don't think any amount of technology we invent will stand in for the real thing completely. It's always going to be like the real thing, Hit me up in 500 years and you can talk shit to me if I'm wrong. I know, yeah, I have a friend who paid thousands of dollars for a fursuit. It's hardcore. That's what I'm saying, Max. And hi, Max. It's true, Baba, but we also have more sex tech innovations and just technology in general. Like the speed of technology is getting faster and faster. So I don't think it's completely outlandish to ask if the nature of sex will change. That said, when I did that interview with the sex robot guy, he was writing the AI for these very sophisticated sex robots that talk to people, and I'll have sex with them, obviously. And he said that we won't have a super lifelike sex robot AI in our lifetime. He said it's not gonna happen. Right, Kevin? Profit opportunity. But from what I can tell, a lot of people who get these expensive fursuits, they pay like, these indie artists, or sometimes they make them themselves. It's not like there's a big like Walmart of fursuits. Although that'd be fun. Yeah, that's true, Sean. Never know. Well, if any of you has a convincing sexual experience with a robot, you let me know. I'd love to hear about it. There's another point that I wanted to make about the sensitivity stuff. Thanks, Flashaga. You're very sweet.
You are loved, you nerd.
That's rude. I'm not a nerd. Actually, I am kind of a nerd. The other idea that I wanted to discuss with you guys is that even in this broader conversation, like all the culture war stuff or whatever, something that I find interesting and that I think is that both people on either side of this debate, as it rages on and on, are kind of expressing the same need. Both people feel like they can't express themselves and move through the world in a way that they feel respected. Isn't that kind of interesting? The two people on such polar opposite sides of a conversation could kind of be, like, I think that's where a lot of it comes from. People who feel like they can't express themselves and just be who they are in the world. What do you guys think? I am a sex nerd, that's true. I'm also, like, much more than a sex nerd. I nerd out about a lot of things. I just don't share them on the internet as much. Maybe one day I will. It's hard to express yourself because people don't like being vulnerable. It's true. But actually, it's one of the best ways to build rapport with people. Be a little vulnerable, you know? Be real. I see the most fragile as those who are sensitive and edgy about how much others are fragile or sensitive. Don't you? Yeah, it's true. There is a fragility. There is a fragility there. Gushing about nerd things, stream 1. Well, it's not really stuff people on the internet probably find very interesting. Well, maybe. I don't know. Some philosophy stuff I like to geek out about. And mostly plant stuff I like to geek out about. And swimming, too. That's another thing. Which I know sounds very weird to geek out about swimming, but it's a thing. Swimming well is actually very hard and very technical. My YouTube account, like, if you logged in, is about 90% swimming videos. Like, please just teach me how to swim faster. I'm so bad at this. I feel like the more videos I watch, though, the harder it gets. I'm just like, okay, now I'm thinking about 18 different videos. I'm a mess. A math stream? No, sir. No, sir. No math stream. Definitely freestyle, Hans. I'm trying to get better at breaststroke. That's probably my second best. I don't even try with butterfly. I hate that shit. People are made fragile by horrible people they encounter. Yeah, that's definitely true. I also think, though, that some people on the internet are made fragile by getting attention for being fragile. Oh dear, no. No!
Will you ever do a live chat in a cow onesie? Inquiring cows wanna know. 8.
No. Thank you. I'm supposed to go public swimming pool and shape up, but I'm afraid about body shaming in others. Any advice? You know, right now, I don't know where you live or what pool you're going to. It probably depends. But the one that I go to is mostly like 80-year-old men in Speedos, and nobody gives a fuck. Like, everyone's just got it all hanging out. It might just be because there's a ton of old people at my pool. I don't know, but my experience is that people who swim regularly are pretty... They don't care. People are just there to swim, do their own thing. It's a very solitary activity. It's not a group activity. You literally can't see other people when you're swimming, right? You can't see anyone's body. Only when you're getting in, I guess, so I'm getting out. But I think it actually is a very good exercise for people who are a little bit self-conscious, ironically, for that reason. Old men love having to hang out, it's true. I like sharing a lane with the older people because they don't go too fast. Sometimes if I'm in a lane with someone who's just like a speed demon, it's scary. I'm worried they're gonna run over me or something. Was it like going to college early while still somewhat involved in Mormonism? I didn't really think about it. I didn't really think about, because, you know, I had checked out of Mormonism by the time I was like 12 or 13, so it didn't have a huge impact on me. Same with your grandma when she was in her 80s. It's awesome. It's such a good workout for people who have mobility issues, you know, people who are getting back into shape, people who live in places where it's 105 degrees outside. I think it's excellent. Swim P, leave. No, it's not a bathroom. Yeah, me too, newbie. I've never seen anybody being weird at the pool. It's just like people of all shapes and sizes. I actually feel like the pool has more body diversity than the gym. Like at the gym, when I would go to a gym like at LA Fitness or 24 Hour Fitness, I feel like most of the people there are pretty fit. So that can be intimidating, but at the pool, it really is a little bit of everything. Thank you,
Am I in the
Fleshaga.
lead?
Are you in the lead for what? What are you trying to lead? Oh, the leaderboard up here. I don't know if there's a leaderboard for Super Chat, actually. There's a leaderboard for the Streamlabs donations, which is better because Google doesn't take a cut if you want to do Super Chats. But thank you so much for the Super Chat, Fleshaga. Well, I'm sure there's not just 2 bisexuals in the chat, Crystal. There's at least 3. I'm sure half the people in here are bi, honestly. Oh, all good, Kythra. Thank you so much for stopping by. The gym is the worst. Yes, it is. The gym is not a vibe. There's probably some gyms out there that are good, but I feel like most traditional gyms are just scary. It's stressful. I think we're in a state where people can now speak up for themselves, so they're accused of being too sensitive. We used to make gay jokes freely at the expense of gay people. Now they have a voice. Yeah, that's definitely some of what's going on, Project. And good to see you. Yeah, there's certainly this feeling of like people got onto social media and had a voice to say what they want without maybe some of social media maybe bypassed some of the social awkwardness that kept people quiet. Aw, thanks, Tater. Oh, we are gonna do confessions very soon. Let's yeah, right about it. Confessions. I'll give you guys 10 minutes if you want to do confessions or advice. By the way, so if you were at my last stream, I was asking folks, I almost cut the advice part of my stream, and the reason why I wanted to cut it is because it was getting so many questions that really felt like things folks should be in therapy for. So now I'm just going to explicitly ask that people reflect on what they're asking for, and if it's something that should be addressed in therapy, please don't send it to me. And I also put on the form some resources for people who do need support that I can't give you here. It was just stressing me out. It's stressful to me to know that some of you are out there and need support or going through these things. And I am not necessarily qualified or the right person. This is not necessarily the right place to have those conversations. So it was just stressing me out a lot. That's part of why I didn't stream a couple times. I was just like, I don't really know what to do with the stream. If I cut it out, what's left? I like to have discussions and stuff, but I wanted to do advice too, so that's where I'm at with it. We'll see how that goes, if that helps. And to reiterate, it's not because I don't want to help you guys, it's just because I think you deserve better help than me, a relatively uninformed person on a stream. Harley, I actually put some links in there too for There's a way to search for sliding scale therapists on Psychology Today. Yeah, I didn't anticipate the sheer amount of therapy questions that I got. Literally hundreds. So that was really stressing me out. And I hope you guys can find people who help you, and maybe one day I'll be qualified if I get into grad school and, you know, can do these sex therapy or counseling programs. But that's a ways off. I can help you with sex ed stuff, but not mental health stuff. Because there are more progressive things and I can't call them out because they give me shit. Am I the asshole? I don't think you're an asshole for saying. People should be able to say what they think in a way that is respectful. As long as you're being respectful, you know. That's really what a lot of this difficult political communication stuff comes down to for me. People need to listen to each other. They need to hear each other out. They need to learn how to be more respectful of each other, be more empathetic of each other. And not necessarily empathetic even from an identity perspective. Like when you listen to me, you're like, oh, well, she's a woman or she's bisexual or whatever. But empathetic just from the types of experiences that I may have had in my life and, you know, thinking about why people might be coming from the place that they are when they say or do things. And that's part of why I wanted to talk about the topic too. It's just because, like I said, I think a lot of people who feel like society is too sensitive or not sensitive enough are coming from the same place emotionally. They feel the same way. And that feels like something that we should be able to build on. Oh, you're talking about your family. Okay, Carlos. Well, family is difficult because you're stuck with them. But the good side of that, the silver lining is that conversations with family can go on for years, right? And people change over years. It's not as easy to just shut the door on a family member. So keep the long term in mind. I think that can be helpful. Talking about the alpha male myth. Well, here's the thing. If any of you out there say things that challenge people in a way that maybe calls their identity or their deeply held beliefs about the world into question, almost always going to make people upset. Even if you're as nice and kind and respectful as possible. So some degree of that I think is inevitable. Exactly, much. My advice is just to wear your family down slowly over time. That's the best way to solve family differences. Just slowly, completely grate at them. Bye, Flashaga. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh yeah, Kamome, I'll bring Poppy in a bit. She's taking a nap in the other room. All right, let's see if there are any advices. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, well, let's do some advice, and then I'll do confessions after. How do I deal with this confusion? I've known myself as a straight male, but now I'm curious about others. I'm not sure what that means. If you want to resubmit with a little more detail. My mom is against vaccines for COVID on the basis of them being unstable. Is there any valid reason against COVID vaccination? Look, I don't want to wade into the whole thing, but I am obviously very much a public health person and would encourage you all to get vaccinated. They're safe. There's some good amount of research behind them now, so that's where I'm coming from. But it's very complicated. People's feelings about this stuff. It's like about distrust of the government, distrust of scientists. I really think the CDC botched this whole thing and really lost a lot of trust. So sometimes what our family thinks is outside of what we can really, what we can tackle realistically, because it's about deeper fears. Should I get rid of this kink or keep it? What kink? Hope not to bother you with this. Well, I don't even know what kink these questions are weird now. Or maybe there was like another part that I didn't read. I don't know. Or that didn't come through. All right. At what point do you start to want a relationship with someone again? Me and my ex broke up last year during COVID and she clearly wants to get back together, but I'm not sure yet. I mean, you should know that you want to get back with your ex before you do it. I would say if you have had a year is probably a good amount of time to reflect on the things that you did and didn't like about your relationship with your ex. And if you feel like you have come to terms with the things that you didn't like and you miss them, then get back together. But in general, overarching in general, I feel like people who break up should not get back together. I don't know your relationship and, the context, but in general, I feel like there's a tendency for people to get back together for the wrong reasons. They're lonely, they miss the positive things and forget about all the hard things. They're romanticizing their relationship in retrospect. They're scared of dating again. Familiar things are less scary to us. So there are legitimate reasons to get back with an ex, of course, but in general, skeptical. What does chat think? Move on, plenty of fish in the sea. Yeah, it's important to remember that too. There's lots of people out there, guys. Lots of people. Find your person. Something that I feel like I can't say enough is that relationships should never feel hard. Like, if relationships feel like a struggle for months and months and months on end, and you're sad, and everything feels hard, it's not the right relationship for you. All my best relationships have felt so easy. A good relationship, in my opinion, feels fairly easy. Of course, you're always gonna have arguments, disagreements, things to work through, but in general, it should feel pretty easy and not a constant struggle. If you met someone you really love with your very limited number of relationships, statistically, it'll be very easy to find another one. That's an interesting point, Waku. Relationships are work, yeah, but it shouldn't feel hard. The work shouldn't feel super hard. Like you constantly are just in this struggle. I know so many people who stay in relationships that are just difficult and painful and constantly a challenge. It doesn't have to be like that. Oh, sad for months sums it up. Yeah, you shouldn't feel sad for months, Jillybean. In general, sometimes relationships go through rough patches, especially if you've been together for a very long time. That might be different, but for most people who are, early in their dating lives, sad for months is not a thing. There's someone out there that will make you happier. It's hard to know when hard is too hard too often. I feel like even asking that question suggests it might be too hard. Because I also just tend to think people stay together probably too long because we're scared. And people don't find the person that's really great for them. I know so many people in their 20s, they just are so eager. It's like, take your time. Take your time. Thanks, Shrub. Thank you so much. Married 30 years, that's a long time. All relationships are difficult, it takes work. I feel like those are two different things. Taking work, yes. Being a constant source of heartache and pain, no. Should not be a constant source of heartache and pain. I do not speak any Farsi, Shrub. I wish I did.
Healthy relationships should overall make you happy, right? That seems like the goal, but it's not always easy.
Yeah. They should make you happy. They shouldn't feel hard. Usually they shouldn't feel hard. Let's say you might go through some periods where it feels hard, but if it goes on and on and on, it depends on the relationship, obviously. If it goes on and on and on, it really shouldn't be hard. And I feel like maybe my philosophy on this is a bit at odds with the cultural narrative that relationships are hard. I feel like there is a lot of messaging out there that says we should expect relationships to be painful and difficult and tumultuous. And I feel like that sets us up to not really, I don't know, build the types of relationships that we can have. Do you know what I mean? It kind of encourages people to settle. Take the most extreme example of this, right? Someone who's in an abusive relationship. And this I have encountered many times. People who are in abusive relationships, who love the person, of course, and also have learned relationships are supposed to be a lot of work, right? They're supposed to be really hard, so this is normal. I have seen that narrative operate in a way that normalizes abusive or just unhealthy relationships. Yeah, that's true, G. God bless. Excuse me. Relationships will always be painful and difficult. There has to be deep warmth or happiness on both sides for it to be worth it. I just don't agree with that. I don't know, maybe I'm the odd one out here, but I really don't think relationships should be painful. No. Maybe if you're going through some shit and stuff, there might be a period where it's tough, but in general, it should not be painful. The line is, what separates a difficult relationship from an abusive one? Thanks for the bits, Shrub. There are many things that separate a difficult relationship from an abusive one. Namely, how it makes you feel. There's a difference between feeling like it's hard and feeling like you're not respected or treated as an equal. Right? Abusive dynamics grow out of abuses of power, power and control over the other person. So if that is the dynamic that makes it hard, then it's probably not just a difficult patch. It's probably an abusive dynamic. Relationships be hard in all the right places. Yeah, I don't mean to say that relationships are never difficult. I just don't think it's a healthy message to tell people who are dating that you should expect relationships to be awful and painful and horrible and this is just how it is. No, it's not. That creates no room for us to grow or to really achieve relationships that make us feel, like we're actualizing. Self-actualization. That I agree with, Shadow. I don't think relationships should be painful, but I don't think they should be only based on feelings. Feelings are fleeting. People fall out of love all the time. Yeah. Thank you, insulin in my butt. Insulin in my butt. Thank you for the insulin in my butt. Thank you for the subscription. They always say you have to work on yourself before having a relationship. Only problem is I've been working on myself for the last 15 years. Yes, Des, I think that's another message that can turn toxic very easily. This idea that we always need to be trying to be better. Like you're never good enough, right? Always be working on yourself. Always getting better. Personal growth. Yes, of course. But some framings of that can make it seem like nothing is ever good enough. Like we always have to be striving for more. At some point, you're just okay. You know? You're fine. You're good enough. You deserve to be loved. You don't need to, you know, go through this whole checklist. Can't love others without loving yourself, but perfection is unattainable. I don't know if I agree with that either. I'm just a contrarian tonight. No. I think you can love other people without loving yourself. Does it set you up for a healthy relationship? Probably not. And maybe that's what that means, right? Listen much. Yeah, I think the spirit of that saying is that we need to love ourselves in order to have maximally fulfilling relationships. And I do think that's true. But I don't think you need to feel like you fully love yourself or you're not broken, you know, in order to find love. I definitely loved people when I did not love myself at all. Like, zero. Were those relationships maximally healthy? Absolutely not. But I still loved them. And our relationships were still pretty good, despite their flaws. Do the best relationships start as friends? It's pretty cute when they start as friends, but maybe not always. Aw. Thank you, I have no mouth and must scream. You guys' screen names are killing me tonight. Oh. Could it be the real answer here lies heavily steeped in nuance, and that while relationships will always involve a level of work, there can be levels and types of work that make a relationship unhealthy. And it's really hard to answer this quickly and certainly. Yes! Absolutely right, October. 100%. I love you guys. I really do love this community. You guys are awesome, and I always feel like you have such... Yes. Good. All right. Oh, wow, there's a lot more advice questions now. How do I respond when someone is saying things that make me uncomfortable? I'm in a long-term relationship that I don't hide, and I don't think these things are appropriate. I assume you mean someone's kind of hitting on you or something? My personal response, it kind of depends on your personality, but would just to be very frank. You know? I'm in a relationship and this makes me feel uncomfortable. You can say if someone's making you feel uncomfortable. They may not even realize it. Or if they may realize it and when you say it out loud, they will be like, oh shit, this person's not gonna let me continue on my tirade. That's my response, usually, when I feel uncomfortable, is say, I'm uncomfortable, that's uncomfortable. I would encounter people on tour once in a while. Rarely, but once in a while, who would be in my space and in my boundaries. And I had to learn, it took practice, but I had to learn how to be like, can you back up a little bit? This is a little bit too much for me, and I'm uncomfortable. And honestly, people are usually cool about it. Sometimes they just didn't really realize. Maybe they were excited or something. I'm on the asexual spectrum, but I figured this out after getting married. It's a constant pressure point with my partner. Any advice? This definitely seems like something a counselor could help you work through. Definitely a counselor for that one. I've dated many people over the years, but it's never worked out. Oh, where'd that go? And I've never been in a real committed relationship. How do I meet people to potentially be in a real relationship that's not just dating or sex? God, this is $1 million question, isn't it? I feel like a lot of people are trying to figure out how to meet good partners. I don't really have an answer. Maybe the chat will. Besides, to join groups that are related to your interests. Aw, thank you, Ryler.
I love you, goddess.
Thanks so much for the super chat, Ryler. Appreciate it. Yeah, I would say join groups that are related to your interests. You know, we were talking about swimming, but maybe you like to rock climb, or you like to hike, or you like to play Dungeons and Dragons, or, you know, whatever your hobbies are, video games. Find social groups that organize around that kind of stuff. Because then you're going to meet people who you probably have shared interests with. At the very least, it will build out your friend network. My camera just shut off again. I think there's something wrong with my camera. Sorry, guys. This is the second time this has happened. Let me try to switch to my webcam. One sec. It's shit quality, sorry. It's so much worse. Sorry, guys. Hey, here we are. I'm coming to you from 2008. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why that's happening. I hope this camera isn't fried already. I just got it. Yeah, it's like my old school atheist videos. Anyhow. Yeah. That's where I would start. Oh, I think I was saying before I went out that a lot of people meet their partner through friends. So cultivating your friendship network and saying yes to friendship things, meeting people at parties and barbecues and, you know, whatever, is a really good way to meet people. And I think most people I know met their partner that way. I know. How bad is this camera? I'm doing my best out here, y'all. I'm doing my best. I don't know why it went out. Let me check on it. Let's see if it's just like, is it dead? It shouldn't be dead because I have it plugged into a power source. Oh, you know what I could do? Give me one sec, guys. Sorry. It would not be a stream if it weren't for technical problems, technical difficulties. Okay, let's see if this will help. Oh, there we go. We're back. Let me switch it. Boom. Ooh, I look very orange. Hello, lighting. All right, well, I guess I'm just a character off of Jersey Shore today. Has it been this orange the whole time? I wasn't really paying attention. It's all that cider. Sorry, guys. Was 2008 triggering? It's... Hold on. Let me see if... Let me adjust this. It's weird, because my lighting... I'm still very orange. Can you guys accept me for who I am? Because I don't know if this is in my control right now. Here's something very, very white, a G-Spot vibrator. Preview of who I'm going to be sponsored by. I'm getting so many sex toys in the mail, you guys. It's outrageous. I probably got like $1,500 worth of sex toys just sitting over here that I'll probably try out. I have like my old favorite, you know. I like to try them, but then there's your old fave, you know? God, I'm so orange. Help. I know, it feels like autumn now, right? As soon as August started, I'm like, you know what? It's not too early to decorate for fall, right? It's been a hard year. Sorry, guys. This is just who I am now. Please accept my Oompa Loompa nature. All right. How do you know the difference between love and adoration or infatuation? Ooh, that's a good question for the chat. How would you define the difference between love and infatuation? Very important distinction. I feel like everybody starts out infatuated and then it fades. And if you still really like that person, that's some love in the air. Yeah, intrusive thoughts. That's a really good one, Raina. God, it really is like that when you first start dating someone. Just can't stop thinking about them. Sorry, COVID cough. Not actually. Yeah, it's so weird when you first fall for someone. It's like your entire body just becomes possessed. Honeymoon phase. Yes, exactly. A lustful feeling. Love is time spent along with genuine moments of closeness and connection. Yeah. And I feel like infatuation starts really high and then fades, whereas love starts from nothing and then grows. And love feels almost infinite to me. Like we don't really know how far we're capable of with love. Whereas infatuation, you kind of start at your peak. So you know the maximum effects right away. Guys, don't make fun of my Oompa Loompa look. I'm self-conscious, guys. Honestly though, why is this happening? Please, stop. Stop. My camera is an independent woman who does what she wants. Love is a chemical response. Absolutely, Felix. It is. Lots of different chemical responses, actually. That's love, Capt. Oh, you're right. Big brain, Rado. It probably is the backlight. Although it wasn't like this when I... Whatever. Whatever, I don't care. It's just who I am now. Why is it so much harder shopping for women's clothing than men's? Let me pull out a rant. I feel like men's bodies, despite all the diversity, maintain roughly the same shape. The shame shape. Hopefully not a shame shape. Whereas there's a lot more that can happen. A lot more. You know what I mean? There's lots of things. So that just means everybody hates buying clothes. Oh, Ryler.
Keep up the good work. My ideal relationship is to be your submissive forever. Even if you're orange.
Thank you, Ryler. I'm looking for a fin-dom relationship to fund grad school, so... Not actually. I've actually had people offer for me to be their fin-dom, and I'm like, do you know me? I can't boss people around and be like, is everything okay? Are we okay? 6-pack of shirts off Amazon. Boom! Problem solved. I mean, I could do that too, but it wouldn't necessarily fit my body in a way that makes me feel confident. Yeah, women do have more types of clothing. More variety overall. But that is sort of a double-edged sword because the nuances of what you're supposed to wear in different types of social occasions can be a little bit more convoluted for women. Like the subtleties between casual casual, business casual, business formal, 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 mega formal. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like, the spectrum is infinite. When I was very busy doing media stuff, like, I don't know, 7 years ago maybe at this point, it was just a constant struggle. So I just picked one dress that I felt fit every occasion and wore it regardless of whether or not it fit every occasion. The pigtails. That's right. We get the benefit of having a lot more options, but also a lot more options. Men's clothing is so much harder to be really good, even though there's so much less of it. What makes men's clothing really good? I feel like the universal standard for clothing that's really good is comfortable, functional, lasts a long time, looks nice, complements your body, you know, makes you feel confident. And pockets! Of course. That's why I love these shorts. I got these shorts at Athleta, and they have so many pockets, and it's magical. Do I consider myself a romantic? Yeah, I think so. But not in like a diluted, everything's happily ever after sort of way. But more in a like believing in the positive and fulfilling potential that we all have. Romantic. In traditional romantic. I like being romanced. And I like romancing too. Really good for men is just doesn't dissolve when we put it on. Standards are, the bar is very low. Lack of variation in a trait can be a sign of positive selection. Interesting point. It's weird that women aren't given shit for wearing men's clothes. Yeah. It's much more socially acceptable for women to wear men's clothes than for men to wear women's clothes. And it is fucked up. Let me do a few more advicey things if there are some here. Am I wrong for consciously trying to treat possible romantic partners in a similar way to how I treat my friends? I hate when people change themselves and their views to fake their way into a relationship. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. There is definitely a temptation to sort of pretend like something you're not. Oh, this person likes this. Oh, they're like that. And you're like, I need to be perfect for them. And so people do change themselves, right? They'll sort of suddenly adopt new interests, or even politics sometimes. I've seen that too, in order to impress someone. Those relationships usually don't last very long. I'm an older, early 30s female virgin. I'm worried about talking about it with potential partners because I've heard of women being dumped and made to feel like something must be wrong with them for not having sex this late in life. I'm not a prude or waiting till marriage. I just wasn't asked by anyone I felt attracted to. I don't want to lie, but honestly I think I will because I don't want to feel alienated and FOMO. Help, please. This may be unrealistic advice, but my gut response to that is that I know people out there who don't care, truly don't care about someone's relationship status. You didn't mention what your sexual orientation is, but I do think there are men, women, or anywhere in between that you can find who will not care, will not judge you, you know? So it's just a matter of finding that person. And yes, that might be harder, especially because it's one of those things that comes up right out the gate. I wouldn't lie. Because you're probably going to feel shitty about lying. I understand the impulse, though, to lie. But I don't think it's the worst, most horrific lie you could ever tell, but in general, you'll probably feel more fulfilled and find partners that are a better match for you just by being real and honest and finding a person who can meet you there. That would be my advice. What do you guys think, chat? Me, I don't care if you're a virgin or not. Boom. Most guys have no problem with virgin women at all. She said she didn't find anyone she liked. Yeah. It's just a matter of finding the right person. I would care, but mostly because I'd be concerned about giving them a good experience. Yeah, that's true, Emery. And maybe something you can do to buffer the pressure that someone might feel, like, oh, you know, this is your first time or whatever. I don't want to disappoint you. Like, maybe that's some of the anxiety that comes up, and you can alleviate it by being blunt about what you expect, making it clear that you don't have, you know, some sort of super Hollywood expectation or something. Yeah, because I think probably what is happening there, if someone did turn you down, is some sort of anxiety, some sort of judgment, and that's not necessarily a reflection of you, but there are ways that you can buffer it. The only problem with virgins, you have to teach them everything. Maybe, Complacent. I mean, plenty of people are learning a lot online now. I mean, there are plenty of people in the audience here who have never had sex who probably know way more than some of the people out there who have a lot of partners. You know? There's, of course, like the street experience, I guess, like the real world experience, but you can learn a lot about sex just from reading and having conversations and talking to people. I say that this as a nerd who likes reading and talking to people. How do women feel about virgin men? In my experience, women are more attracted to you the more successful you are with other women. I don't think I feel... There might be more stigma for men out there because of that masculine expectation that, oh, you gotta be a lady killer, and if you're not just having tons of sex and getting tons of pussy, then what's wrong with you? There is that double standard for men. So there might be more stigma for a male virgin than a female virgin. But I feel like there are plenty of people in the entire dating pool, regardless of sex or gender, who just don't buy into all this shit. And you just have to find those people. It might be a little tricky and take more time and be a little more frustrating, but plenty of people who don't buy into all this are out there. Especially now, you know, the internet, everyone's getting informed. Oh, Velox, that's so sweet of you. That's so sweet of you. Women are attracted to guys who are attractive to many women, I think not necessarily many partners. I also think there's another dimension to this of people being attracted to other people who are confident. I think confidence, and not necessarily in an arrogant way, but in a I accept myself and this is who I am and I'm just, here I am, take it or leave it. That kind of confidence, I think many people find very sexy. And you might find that kind of confidence in someone who's had more sexual experience more readily. And so we're thinking that the thing is, you know, the reason why they're sexy is because they've had a lot of sex, but really it's because they're confident in who they are. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just making shit up. No, I think confidence is part of it. I think being a virgin is appreciated for ultra-religious people. Crumnosh! Thank you so much for the subscription, Crumnosh. I hope you're having a Crumnosh. We're on a roll for best screen names of all time tonight. Confidence is everything. Yes, it is. Every time I want to make a video about dating, you know, the things that helped me, made it easier, it all really does boil down to accepting yourself and just feeling cool with yourself. Like, I am cool with me. And that means, you know, my self-worth is independent of what other people think. Mostly, not entirely. So that confidence is just, yeah, it really is important, and it can be difficult to develop when you have a lot of setbacks, you know. Oh, there was a comment I was reading about religious differences. I don't think this is sort of people in this community want to marry, though. No, I'm not sure, Drinsano. There's definitely religious people in the community. I hear from them. I don't know if they're in here in this stream right now, but there are religious sex-positive people. They exist. I've never met like an evangelical sex-positive person, but other religions, yeah. Sorry to clear my throat. I didn't want to blast your eardrums out. Confidence is difficult, but it's important to try. Yeah, that's why I wanted to do that stream. I think it was like 2 streams ago that I did about confidence. I might try to write like an overall like guide to starting to build your confidence, like starting points to get people started in that process and that mental framework. I have many things to say about confidence. It's complicated. I also think people use the word confidence to describe a lot of different things. All right, let's see. Since the last video, I've dug down the rabbit hole of paraphilias and realized I have hybristophilia. Never realized there's a term for being attracted to women that commit crimes. I did not know that either. Any tips for this? No, but thank you for sharing that because it's very interesting. I recently started having sex and I've had trouble finishing. I've never heard of a guy having this problem and can't find any advice about it. Actually, it's very common. Very, very common, especially when people have a new partner that they haven't been with before, or they start having new sexual experiences that they've never had before. There's some evidence that it's related to some anxieties, some concerns, not being fully present, sort of being up in your head about it. And it's just very normal. That just happens to a lot of people. So don't stress yourself out about it. Just be cool about it with your partner. Just tell them, hey, you know, body's gonna do what it's gonna do, and try having sex in other different ways. Of course, you don't need to finish or be hard. I assume you have a penis because you said you're a guy. Maybe a bad assumption on my part, but in general, there are other ways to have sex that, you know, you can continue the experience with and keep the momentum going without it being this sort of awkward thing. And having a sense of humor about it can help. But from what I've heard from, like I said, a lot of people, it can take a few months even. It's a thing. It is a thing. I'm surprised you haven't found stuff written about it because it is so common. Maybe I need to make a video about it. I don't think I have. Oh, okay. Follow up to that question I was confused about earlier. I'm 30 and recently started feeling bi when my whole life I've known myself as a straight male. I don't know how to figure these new feelings I'm feeling. How do I know if I'm just curious or straight up bi? Oh, well, I think part of the identity shift that goes from curious to claiming an identity is having some experiences that can, you know, illuminate what that feeling is for you. Maybe try going on a date with someone that you're same-sex attracted to and, you know, giving it a shot. See how you like it, see how you feel. You know, do whatever you feel comfortable with that can help you explore those feelings. You may end up thinking, you know, deciding you're not bi or that you're just kind of hetero-flexible or whatever. That's okay. But you may discover that you're bisexual and you can, you know, live a fulfilling life that has more possibility for you now that your identity markers are more accurate. We love a bisexual glow up. All right. Let's see here. Should we do some confessions? Oh, God. All right. Whose interface is such a shit show. Oh, PASSAP, yeah, SSRIs. SSRIs can absolutely cause that too. Medications, several types of medications. That's something to look into. But because it sounds like you're first starting your adventure, it's more common for people to just have some early anxieties. All right. Confession, you allowed me to advertise my job on one of your streams. You don't have to read this out either. Oh, too late. On reflection, it put you in an awkward position. I truly apologize, but I'm grateful you're so cool about it. Keep being awesome, you superstar. Oh, I don't remember feeling awkward about anything like that, so don't worry about it. I was the guy who commented about a fetish for getting kicked in the balls, and no, I wasn't trolling. I think the word you were looking for was tamakeri or ball busting. All right. Confession, I recently got a job working at an aquarium, and I wanted to tell one of my bosses a joke about people hating stingrays being racist. She gave me a look and reminded me, oh, you can't say that ever again. I can understand the societal notion, but in hindsight, I don't think it's that bad of a joke either. It's on the theoretical person, not someone in particular. Yeah. People, when Chris and I started dating, people started calling themselves racy, because Chris Reagan and Lacey, racist. Remind me of that. I don't know, I'm not easily offended by jokes personally, but if someone has an issue with it, just don't tell them that joke. Confession, I generally have hip taste in music and don't listen to mainstream pop music, but I have a massive crush on Taylor Swift. That's okay. It's okay to like mainstream stuff. No. No. I'm not gonna read some of these. Sorry, some of these are very long. Confession, I feel like I might be bi, but I'm unsure. Oh, well, either you're the same person or there's multiple people who feel that way tonight. What the fuck is happening in the confessions tonight, dude? People send me literal essays, like fan fiction essays. No. No. Like, do you really expect me to read through all of that on the stream? Critical Link! Thank you so much for joining the Twitch fam, Critical Link. Appreciate you. Sorry, I'm trying to control my reactions. There's just, it's not necessarily all trolls. It's just that I feel like when I put no serious stuff in the advice, it all went to the comment or to the confessions. Guys, I'm just trying to vibe over here. Jeez, it's hard. I'm gonna shut off the responses real quick. Confession, I've stopped engaging my in-laws in deeper conversation about politics and religion because they're too far gone. They set up a doomsday bunker and a way to access their finances for us when they get raptured and we don't. I don't have the conversation level for that. Oh God. In-laws are such an interesting relationship. It's like kind of this weird wild card that's a little bit powerless. Like it's your partner's parents, they're not going away, and yet you don't necessarily know what you're in for. But I support your decision to stop having conversations that make you uncomfortable with them. I think that seems like a healthy boundary. Confession, I recently realized that a lot of my previous sexual encounters didn't work out well because I had drank alcohol. My boner only works sober. That's a thing, yeah, that is a thing. Pretty common thing. It's probably something to do with what it does to your veins. It's a vasodilator? Maybe? All right. Confession, I've never been in a relationship. Very common too. Thanks for the bits, Muller, and welcome. Welcome, welcome. I love the idea of a war between God and Satan that you can be protected from with a man-made bunker. Oh, shit. All right, guys, whose side of the war are you gonna be on between God and Satan? Who's fighting who? Side of Satan. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be on Satan's side. I just like to be edgy like that, you guys. God is a self-righteous jackass. Yeah, there's that part too. Oh, good. Okay, so we're all fighting on Team Satan. I'm glad we all worked that out. I feel like we just had a team bonding moment. Team God, what? Okay, the two people who are fighting for Team God are canceled. You're out. All right. Confession, please feel free to disagree and explain why I'm wrong, but I think that bisexuals, pansexuals, especially the ones in straight relationships, are overstating harm when they claim to be more oppressed than lesbians and gays. I do not like the I'm more oppressed than conversations, regardless of who they're happening to. It sort of assumes that oppression is this quantifiable, measure that we can just sort of slap a number on and then say, okay, here's who's, the most oppressed and the least oppressed. Real life isn't like that, man. All right. Confession, I'm worried about dating as a man given the current climate. I don't want to go on a date or compliment a woman and end up with a false accusation against myself. You're probably not going to have an issue if you compliment someone. That seems like maybe spending too much time in weird internet land where people obsess about that kind of stuff. Real life is much less hype. Confession, I use people all the time. It's just easier for money and affection. It's an impulse. Wow. That's a new one. All right. Well, thank you for bearing your hearts out and for these incredibly long fan fictions. Oh, dear. I lost my oppression scale? Are we bringing the oppression Olympics back? God, I hope not. I hope not. Some people online really do treat it like it's a fucking math equation. Oppression math. You guys are using me for entertainment and education? I thought you loved me. It's true. A lot of relationships are kind of transactional at the end of the day. We can try to avoid that, but some people are more honest with themselves about it than others, probably. Oh my. Okay. Hello 94, I can't read all of that, but I would encourage you to put it in the advice in a condensed version for next time. Oh, was there any other? Oh, here's some advice. What's a good way to increase sexual tension with someone when discussing non-sexual topics? How can I make this totally platonic, non-sexual conversation very sexual? Wiggle your eyebrows a lot. Like that. That will definitely make the conversation much more sexual. Flirt a lot. It sounds a little manipulative, but maybe they're trying to figure out how to, like, you know, have a flirtation with someone. I'm not really sure what the context of the question is, but just flirt. Smiling, complimenting, teasing, all very flirty things. Self-deprecating can be flirting too. All right. Are there any businesses that more inclusive, less confusing business practices when it comes to women's shoes and clothing? If you find them, please tell me. I'm like constantly frustrated that women's clothing has no standard sizes. For men's pants, it's like 2 numbers. Why are women's pants, there's like 18 different scales? It's just fucking annoying. But yes, I feel like we need to standardize women's clothing, and people who are, I personally like it when they just give the measurement. Measure my hips. Just give me the straight measurement. But that's kind of rare. I think Levi's does that for pants. It's the only one I can think of. Yeah, just dance in place. Just awkwardly turn the conversation into a dance party. Problem solved. 0 and 00. Yeah, 00 is a relatively new thing, if I remember right. So frustrating. Because capitalism. But why aren't men's clothing sizes like that? Right? I love this League of Legends soundtrack. What the fuck is a 0? It means you don't exist, actually. Your pant size is just invisible. Yeah, it's so silly. All right, my dears. It's wrapping up time. This has been lovely. You gave me a lot to think about. I hope you guys are walking away with some things to think about. I will hopefully be back next Thursday. I'm traveling up to Sacramento to see my family, and we will see if my family can join the conversation. I can just make them all feel very awkward talking about sex. My grandma's gonna be in town, so yeah, maybe I'll introduce you guys. We'll have a little family chat. Oh, Poppy! Okay, if you want to see Poppy, one moment. Schnoofler! Schnoofler! Hi! Oh, are you excited? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Oh, did you miss me? I miss you. My dog is very attached. 2 hours without me and she loses her mind. Oh, she says, why'd you take me away from my mom? All right, settle down, crazy puppy. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Have a nice weekend. Hey, settle. It's okay. It's okay. You're okay. Good grief. She's got too much energy. Go play. All right, guys. Bye. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.